So the first map is Frost, as you can see here, and it's stats against Coca. Stats currently in Grandmaster League on this account, as you can see. And here he is, spawning to the bottom left in red as Protoss.
Yeah, just a little CZ there for you guys. It is currently 0-0. Of course, this is the first set. It is Stats versus Coca. And in the bottom right, we're going to have Coca, the Zerg player, playing for JINAIR.
Yep, so this should be a really interesting match because we're spawning at horizontals here.
Yeah.
So when the horizontal spawns, the Protoss player can take a third base just to the right of his main in this case, as you can see right next to his base on the minimap. If he takes that expansion as his third base early, it's really difficult for the Zerg to attack, because if he wants to attack early to punish the third base, he has to go around the middle, which takes a really long time, or he has to go down that bridge of doom, bridge of death, whatever you want to call it, that bridge, that very narrow choke point, or he's going to really struggle to deal with concaves of Stalkers, you know, later Colossi. It's just a very difficult point to engage. Yeah,
and the thing about Frost is that it's so big and it forces these long games, especially because of what you mentioned. That Protoss can take such an easy third place and just kind of turtle and get that death ball up. And it's really hard for Zergs to deal with because they want to put on the aggression, but it's very hard when you spawn exactly like this, you know?
Yeah. Based on the pylon placement for stats, looks like he's considering doing some early canning. At the very least, he is going to fast expand. The Forge isn't down. It's a bit too late for him to be cannoning, so he's not going to cannon. And Coca's actually brave enough on this large 4-player map to go hatchery first. Don't blame him for that.
Yeah, and not a bad idea. And it looks like actually Stats is going to go for a Nexus first as well, saving up those minerals.
Exactly. So Nexus first versus hatchery first here is actually oftentimes really good for the Protoss because he gets away with the Nexus greedily without a Forge. He could have tried to cannon, and it's just too risky on this map. You have to hope that you scout correctly with your probe. We do see players from time to time, especially Chinese Protosses, go for things like this because they just like to be aggressive, and they're like, well, you know what, if I get lucky, I can cannon. If I get unlucky, it's okay, I still have a safe expansion to fall back to.
Yeah, me and you actually casted a couple of games of Jim versus SPL at WCG just recently, I think 2 weeks ago, and Jim basically played super aggressive every game. We were talking about how the Chinese players love to be super aggressive, and he did exactly that, you know, just going for that Forge first and cannoned. I think he forced SPL to change his starting base like 3 times.
Yeah.
And it actually really messed with SPL's build, and that's actually the one game that Jim took off of SPL.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you can get into your opponent's head like that and really mess up his build, going to affect the way his strategy plays out long term. So talking about Coca a little bit, you talked a little bit about how he switched to League of Legends, and in Korea, everyone knew he'd switched to League of Legends. He was practicing it a lot, but we knew about as much as you guys know about Marine King switching to League of Legends. Like, nobody really knows how he's doing, if he's doing well, you know, what league he's even in League, you know, is he going towards Challenger, or is he like in Platinum? Nobody knows.
Yeah. The
same was true of Coca, and the general consensus was he was not successful and came back to StarCraft2. And in Wings, he was like one of the best Zerg versus Protosses we had.
Yeah, I remember watching so many games where Coca played super good against the Protosses. And it's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, Coca, just one of those players. I think 3 players were announced. You know, Puzzle was also one of them. I forget the third one, but a lot of these players, or not a lot of them, some of these players from StarCraft2 made an announcement where they're like, okay, we're going to try League of Legends, but none of them really made a big splash. And now Marine King is trying to follow that path. And a lot of that league placement, if they're not in that, you know, the top league, Diamond or Challenger or anything like that, you know, it's kind of kept under wraps because they don't want their name to be like, well, you know, we're one of these players that just hasn't made it yet. You know, it's not good for their publicity.
It's not good for their image, so they kind of have to hide and play in the background. And, you know, you and I both follow champions quite closely in Korea. You know, StarCraft, of course, is not the only esport that there is in Korea or in the world. And sometimes, you know, players try different career paths and it doesn't work out. And I guess for Coca, StarCraft was just too embedded in his heart and he had to come home. Same with Puzzle. And both of them now are on Kespa teams. You know, StarCraft2 has come a long way in Korea.
Yeah.
We do have a Stargate opening for stats here, and a very quick Overlord speed for Coca, so he will be able to get in there and scout that right away. You don't always see Overlord speed this fast against Protoss. Normally it's more common to see against Terran for scouting, so I really like this. Coca really is one of those innovative Zergs. He likes to do new things very quickly, very soon. And look at this, he has the Overlord speed, so he can come in here, see the Stargate, and actually will be able to see the natural and get away without losing his Overlord, depending on how he sends it.
The big thing about this quick Overlord speed is that he's just able to scout so easily, and this map is so big, so that Overlord speed is really, really important for Coca, especially against stats. You know, a player who loves to go Stargate, so he's able to get in the base and just scout everything, and he knows exactly what's going on. He's going to be able to protect his bases really easily, going to throw up those spores right on time.
Yeah, be able to get his spores up. We'll be able to get the Roachborn up as well in case it's a Zealot push to follow this up. He wanted to check the gateways as well. Was not able to see the 2 additional gateways being added now, but he didn't see the gateways very quickly. So that gives him a little bit more knowledge, but he doesn't know about these 3. And the Overlord speed is something that's going to be useful later on in the game as well. How many gates is he going to add?
He's keeping that probe there. He throws down the robo, right?
That was scary. I thought we might have something crazy on our hands here. The Phoenixes are also useful at scouting here. He sees how many drones are being made. He knows it's a significant droning. He just saw that Maynard there.
Oh boy, look at those drones. He actually had 10 drones queued up, and now he's 12 again now. He's droning so hard right now because he knows he's safe, at least for now. As long as he can keep away those Phoenixes and not allow them to build up too much, maybe grab a few extra queens and just defend it well enough, he can be fine and just drone up a ton here.
Yeah, basically he's saying, all right, you invested in the Phoenixes. I've got spores up. I have my Roachborn just in case. It's the just-in-case Roachborn. He only makes 1 Roach right now, but he made all those drones knowing that on this map at these positions, if a push comes, he'll probably be able to get ready in time. And I really like what he's playing. I love the Overlord speed.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. That is like perfect on this map, especially against Protoss, because he knows exactly this is the information that he needed in order to drone this hard. And droning this hard with no aggression, he's just going to have a sick economy going into the mid-game.
Yeah. Robotic support bay goes up right now for stats, and he's got to make a choice. And he's going to be forced to make a choice very quickly because this Overlord speed allows Coca to come in here and scout this. He knows now, and he immediately starts a Spire. And if he has a Spire coming up...
everything.
Yeah, and if he has a Spire coming up at the same time as the Robotics, he will easily have the defense necessary when this comes. He can make Corruptors if he wants because he knows this is not a really fast... well, it is a pretty quick Robotics bay, but he knows that... He knows about it fast enough to realize he's able to count it. It's not like he sees the first Colossus and he's like, oh, now I got to make a Spire.
And again, not to harp on the Overlord speed, but he would not have been able to get this much information if he did not invest those minerals and gas into getting that Overlord speed. And it's a small price to pay for knowing exactly what your opponent is going to do. He saw the robotic support bay. He saw the Stargate, of course, allowing him to drone up, and it's giving him a huge advantage right now. He has 80 drones.
Yeah, he has 80 drones right now against a player who gets fast Colossi, and he knows he's safe. Finally, Stats goes back and deals with the Overlord that was floating around his base. He had Phoenixes out, but he was so, hell-bent on using them to do damage and to harass and have a presence on the map that he wasn't able to send them back and get the Overlord, and that cost him dearly. And now he has to kind of transition to taking a 3rd base. Before, it was likely he was going to take a 3rd base on this map, especially at these positions like I talked about before, but it was a possibility that he was planning on doing an attack with Colossi, but now that possibility is nullified because he knows his opponent scouted him early. There's nothing he can do. There are those Corruptors I was talking about. He makes them right away. And this is still going to be difficult for Coca to engage. He's going to have to leave that 3rd base alone. I like the choice to take it forward, especially with this many drones. But the question is, when he gets that Death Ball, when Stats get that Death Ball of Void Rays, Colossi, and later on High Templar if he chooses to make them, how is Coca going to respond to this? Yeah,
that's one thing I wanted to point out. Coca is doing really well on the economy side, but he hasn't put on any aggression. He's not going to be able to take down any of this Death Ball before it gets big, and that's what I'm worried about. He can take a 4th base, he can get these Hydras, he can get all the upgrades. He has +1 coming for ground and air, and he's building a bunch of Mutalisks. He's getting the army now, but he's allowing Stats to basically, like you said before, take that 3rd base very easily, very comfortably, and just build this Death Ball with no problems at all. Now Stats getting Blink as well, +2 on the way.
Yeah, the Mutalisks are actually really interesting to me because he has Corruptors for the Colossi. The Mutalisk switch is not going to work with this few. You do a big Mutalisk switch, you can actually catch your opponent off guard sometimes, but he has Phoenixes. He has enough anti-air here, even with the Void Rays, to help out. I don't want to say it was a mistake to make the Mutalisk, but is he really planning on doing backstab harass with these? Let's see what he gets done.
He's only got 5, which is... It's like a little task force that I guess you can mix in there to do some harass and then bring in with your army because they are so fast they can get back in time, especially on a map like this.
I mean, with the Corruptors with the Mutalisks, he can try to isolate and kill the Phoenixes. He's going to actually go for the harass here. Never really seen anything quite like this, with literally Corruptors chasing Mutalisks to try to come over and kill probes. I'm really worried he's going to get cornered here, though. There's not a lot of mobile anti-air. Blink isn't done. He doesn't have a lot of Stalkers yet. And look at this multi-prong harass. While he's attacking the main base with the Mulus and the natural, he actually goes to the third base with Hydras on the high ground. But this is what I'm worried about. There's so much damage here with the Corruptors being attacked by the Void Ray and the Phoenixes. Will he actually turn to fight? He does. This is an interesting trade. I'm not sure if I like this by Coca, but he does get a lot of probes out of it.
He did get a bunch of harass down, and he is killing a bunch of those Phoenixes as well. So he is taking down some of this death ball by doing this, but he is losing a lot of Corruptors here now.
The thing to consider too is right now Coca has a great economy. So for him to trade for a Phoenix like this is close. Doesn't get it. But for him to trade like this is more okay right now because his economy is so strong. The thing that I'm worried about is this push with the Void Rays coming in. He's got all these Colossi and the upgrades are at +2. He's gonna have Blink as well. Does he have enough to actually hold this?
This is going to be a huge push. He's going to push right when +2 finishes, and all that Coca has is +1 on his ground units, and it's a bit of a funky mix here against this army, but he is going to come around. He is coming flanking from two sides now.
Yep, the Roach is coming in here. The Colossi being targeted immediately. The Void Ray is doing work on those Corruptors, and there's just too many Colossi. They're surviving a little bit. At the back here, the Roach is trying to target them down. The Stalker's doing so much damage. This fight is actually much closer than I anticipated. It looks like, though, Coca is going to be pushed back for now. He's got 21 Roaches in production, though 21 Roaches are about to spawn. Burrow movement is on the way, so even though that fight looked like, okay, maybe Stats has too much, maybe he's going to end this game, Coca has that economy, he has that production, and he doesn't lose his base, and now he's able to remax, and it's so much easier for him to do that because he has that fourth base, he has that stable economy, he got those drones out so early. And now that the situation is a little bit more worrisome for Stats, he has to consider, okay, do I add a bunch of gateways and go with +3 and try to kill him on 3 base again? Or do I take that fourth base? He doesn't, I don't think he's seen it yet, but he's got to know that Hive is on the way, and we're going to have a tech transition here relatively soon.
Yeah, he's got to assume Hive is on the way, and he's doing exactly what you said before. You know, he's going for the +3, adding the gateways, getting Zealot charge as well. It doesn't look like he's positioning to take a fourth base at all, and Coca looks like he wants to go aggressive here, and I like that because he can go aggressive and remax so easily because he has such a good economy right now.
Yeah. So the Colossi being targeted here, one actually gets away, will fall very quickly though, gets stuck on that ledge, and there's just way too much Zerg here. The thing is, if Stats warps and Marines, he may be able to hold the time warp here is good, but there's just way too much Zerg. He's trading too efficiently. He's got Roaches on the high ground, killing the probes, and Stats is just starting to fall apart here little by little. He will push this back, I feel, the first wave, but look at the production time. He's got so many more units on the way. Hive is about to finish, and he's just going to continue to trade here, and if he gets stopped +3, that would be great.
Oh, he's going to stop the +3. That was so beautiful with the Roaches on the high ground, by the way, stopping all mining at the third base and just being super aggressive here, going right up to the army, not allowing any force fields to happen. He's now going to have to back off a bunch of units being warped in, but he's going to get blinked on. He's going to lose these units, but just look at the supplies right now, guys. It's 190 versus 115. Coca is up by a huge margin right now.
Coca's basically is out multitasking his opponent here, and he also has Burrow movement from these Roaches, so I think he tried to sneak them in. Wasn't even necessary, but you could just see in his play and the research that he's going for, he's got a plan. And how he's executing this is very clear. Okay, he thought about this. If I spawn these positions, this is how I want to play this if he takes the third base. I'm going to attack him at the front if I win a trade, when I have the better army. So he had the better army after that trade. Attacked at the front, killed the Forge while with the Roaches at the third base. And it's not like Stats is bad at multitask. It's not like he's slow. He just doesn't have enough stuff to actually repel this. And I think your prediction was correct that Stats was thinking about trying to do something off the 3 base. But now, after that happened, he doesn't have the army to do anymore, so he has to take a late fourth. He has to get Storm, he has to try to transition, he has to remake his Forge and remake +3. All during this time, Greater Spire's almost done for Coca. He's basically just moving forward here.
Yeah, he's going to probably, he has a bunch of Corruptors now, he's going to make those into the Broodlords, and he is actually attacking right now. Stats' army is not really in a good position here, but he's going to come and defend this. The Corruptor's right in position, not allowing the Colossi to get close enough. He's going to take down the second Nexus as well.
Yep, Nexus is being taken down. The Stalkers blink forward here to try to save it. It's not going to be enough. The Void Rays charge up, trying to save those Colossi, and the angle is just so good for Coca. You know, I feel like this is Coca's strength in this matchup. When he fights, he is not afraid of the death ball. He looks it in the eye and attacks because like, I get a better position, and I have the Swarm behind me. I can make 11 Hydras and 18 Roaches at once while getting upgrades. I have that economy. I droned up like crazy. He's still denying mining here at the third base. He's like, my economy is so much better than you. Even if you kill all my ground army, my Corruptors will fly away, and I've got so much production at home. He's already remaxed. He's basically 100 supply up right now.
He is even more than 100 supply up right now. He has the Greater Spire. He can make the Broodlords. He's making 4 of them right now. He's getting the upgrades, whereas he stopped stats is +3. So actually canceling those Broodlords because stats did see that. But he, you know, like you just said before, he's going to be able to remax so easily here and come in and keep on that aggression. You know, that fourth base was denied with that push. The second Nexus went down. The third base is barely even mining for stats. And stats, you can just look at the supply, still down 100. He just doesn't have the economy to back up any kind of army. In that last push, he only had 2 Colossi. Yeah. That's not enough to deal with Roach Hydra.
No, not even close. I mean, he needs Storm, and I believe it's done now. Because building Colossi takes too long. You can warp in 4 Templar at a time, 5 if you have the resources. But quite frankly, he doesn't have the resources. And if he did, it would take him some time. Now he's warping in some Templar, but those are going to have to wait for energy. And you know what Broodlords love is killing Templar from far away from a safe distance. And we're going to start to see them pick away at these Stalkers. And Stats is basically just shielding himself in the corner, hiding over here, cowering against the Swarm. Coca is just so far up here. One good Storm does land not only on the Broodlords, but also on those Hydras. But I just don't think he has enough here.
Yeah, he's getting some damage onto them. The Broodlord's doing work, though. He's probably going to try to blink the Stalkers in here, but with the ground army that Coca has as well, he's not going to be able to do that at all. So just blinking back, trying to target down something, but you can just look at the armies, guys. Coca able to just remax consistently. Look at his minerals and gas. Coca has this one, I believe.
Yeah, this game is essentially over. Right now, Stats is just staying in to try to give the Green fans, and of course you guys at home, a good game.